Good morning. You're in the Crone Zone. I'm Lynn, and we're at lesson 6 of the series of learning tarot. So let's have a little look at where we've come from. So, from a place of wholeness, the Fool, we enter a world of duality. Let me get this right. High Priestess and the Magician. We meet the energies of Mother and Father and all that is meant by the masculine and the feminine energies. We become familiar with state and church. And then we come to card 6, the Lovers. So what is this card about? Well, it's about a very key choice point in the journey through the tarot. This is the point at which we are emerging for the first time as an individual. We've been shaped, conditioned, if you like, maybe to some degree by our society. But here we are now, forming views of our own, opinions of our own, values of our own, from which we are going to make choices and we're going to choose for ourselves. Childhood will have been determined largely by choices being made on our behalf by those who are our parents and guardians. Now we come to the point where we are making choices. And there's a responsibility in that because we can make some serious mistakes. Not only can we make some serious mistakes, but I'd say that in our journey, we're absolutely bound to make plenty of mistakes and learn from them. So the word I want to give you for the Lovers card is the word choice. Okay, and one of the choices that we make that's also covered by the Lovers card is choice of partner, romantic choices. We become aware for the first time that we're an individual, and from that we start looking out towards the other. So let's look a little more closely at the card. I've pulled the Two of Cups as well as the Lovers here because it's useful to put them side by side. The Two of Cups foreshadows the greater archetype of the Lovers, and hopefully you will recall that the Two of Cups is about balance, harmony and unity. And the Lovers is very much about these qualities as well, or at least our need to work towards them. We have the blessing of the angels in both cards, but you'll observe there is a grey robe on the angel in the Lovers card. The angelic beauty is muted or covered, blocking the sun above. There are obstacles there we are going to have to get through to reach that glorious sun. And what is that mass below the angel? Clouds? Well, to me it looks like volcanic ash clouds that are rising up. And while some people say that the geography in the background is a mountain to climb, I think it's even harder than that. I think it may be a mountain, but for me, it's also a volcano. It's an explosive volcano. The naked figures we see in the foreground are presented very much as Adam and Eve, and we're in Eden here, and we know the story of Eden, that story of separation from the oneness of nature, from unity, and stepping out into what I would say was a world of duality. Eve stands by the tree of knowledge, and Adam in front of the tree of life. And this card, as is the Two of Cups, is frequently an indicator of relationships in all their manifestations, not just romantic relationships, although it does include every variant of romantic relationship, as well as every other kind of love that we can think of. But the situation here is by no means as simple as that beautiful balanced unity that we saw in the Two of Cups. The card is ruled by Gemini, the sign of the twins. And in the myth of the twins Castor and Pollux are separated. And there is this eternal yearning for the twin, that other half of the self, if you like, who will make us complete. So this card is also about duality, even multiples, multiplicities. And this is where choice comes in, because we're presented frequently with the choice between two options. So there we have it. When the Lovers turns up, it's all about choice, romantic and otherwise. This is generally seen as quite a positive card, and therefore I guess I'm overstating perhaps the negative aspects of it, because I think when it shows up in a spread, people sort of run away with the idea that there's this moon in June romance just in the offing. And I think it's too easy to forget that relationships of all sorts take work. They have to work to really know a person, not just project a suit of clothes onto somebody and make them wear that for our own purposes. And so we're going to cycle through the Lover's energy many times in a lifetime, and maybe through many lifetimes, learning much as we go. So, this will be the card that comes up for the first puppy love infatuation that we have, that maybe embarrasses us deeply later when we look back on it, and we laugh about it. It will cover all aspects of love, including lust. We've got to look at that smoking volcano there and the ash clouds, so on. Codependency, choosing for the wrong reasons for financial security, choosing for status, prestige, to impress others, not knowing the other, but just projecting our own needs and wants and expecting them to complete us. Big mistake. Ultimately, the relationship we're seeking is our relationship with the divine. That's the ultimate. And certainly relationships with other people can help us on the way to that. But we cannot be completed by another. Only we can do that job. And in the realms of choices, the number 6 is about the heart. And I don't just mean the heart, the romantic heart that we hear about in all the love songs and everything. I mean the higher heart. And so it's about when we make choices, and when we see the card, it may be nothing to do with romance. It may be to do with a moral or ethical choice that we are making. Are we choosing from that higher heart, or are we choosing just to be expedient? Is this a real heartfelt choice that echoes deep with us or not? And it's learning through life to have the integrity to make a better call on our choices, choose well. That's the important thing. Set out with the 6s from the 4 suits. I just want to jog your memory back to the last lesson and the 5s. And we saw how the 5s created conflict. There is a pattern between the numbers of the minor arcana 1 through to 10. And if you like, it's a breathing in, breathing out pattern. I'll go into this more later, but it's there. So the odd masculine numbers tend to be numbers of action, and the even numbers, or feminine numbers, tend to be numbers of reflection or pause. And with the sixes and this notion of choice, there's this idea of breathing out and making that informed choice. The notion perhaps that we're either in a time of out-breath, we're in a time of release, which 6 is about, so it can be a release. And it can also be the need to reflect, to choose, to take a pause perhaps. With the 6 of Swords, we're very much on that out-breath energy that I talked about. This is a card of reaction rather than action in many ways, although there is an action being shown. A figure, we're not sure if male or female, we could interpret it either way, sits in a boat and a small child is beside them, and they are being steered across an expanse of water. On one side of the boat, the waves are very choppy, and on the other side of the boat, the waters are very calm. And there's this idea here of being steered to a calmer shore. When this card comes up in a reading, it's often a card of transition, of needing to move away, be that mentally or often physically, to occupy a different space, maybe for reflection, maybe for recuperation. And we can see, though, that the 6 swords, and sword is thought, communication, ideas, and so on, the swords are accompanying the people in the boat. They're not leaving them behind. So there's the notion here of a temporary journey or escape, or just moving, needing, even if for a short time, to find a space of peace. We can see the figures are rather hunched. We can see that the sky is grey. However, in readings, this doesn't always come up as a negative journey at all. It can be a very positive, welcome break that somebody is taking. At its deepest, this could be Sharon steering us across the River Styx, and the transition could be between worlds. Very rare, but that's another possibility. I want, though, to draw some attention to a figure that's often overlooked in this card, and that is the boatman himself. Who is the boatman? I guess the boatman could have more than one role. Certainly one amongst those is the idea of our higher self steering us to calmer waters. That's a possibility there. We can see with the 6 of Wands that choices made have led to some success. Here we have one of the few figures on horseback, other than the knights in the deck. A man riding high on his steed, his horse, which is dressed rather richly, as is the rider, holding aloft a victory wreath and crowned himself with laurels. And we can see that there are other figures around him who seem to be rather lower than he is, maybe just be a perspective thing, who are also raising their wands, and at least one of them seems to be paying the rider quite a lot of attention. So this card is an indicator of success. It's an indicator of gaining victories in whatever your projects are and being recognised by your peers. So not only are you having success, but people are recognising it, you're lauded for it, you're being praised and recognised and basking in the glory of that. And that may be very well deserved indeed. It comes with a little warning as well, and that there are 2 or 3 perhaps. The warning that this isn't forever, this is a temporary, if lovely, victory. Enjoy it thoroughly, but you're not done yet, you know. And the warning there is, don't get running away with this success. Enjoy, but don't let it go to your head. Don't become overly confident as a result of it, you know. Because if you were to do that, then you might be riding for a fall. At the very end of the major arcana, there's a card called the World, which has a very large wreath on it, and as a figure stands within that. But you can see that the wreath here is really rather small. We're not done, but hey, well done for now. Wonderful. Enjoy. But perhaps keep a little humility too. I always find the 6 of Cups a rather strange card. Traditionally, it's thinking of the past, linking back to the past, reflecting on former times and particularly relationships and loved ones from the past, be that romantic or otherwise. It can be childhood, and it can be looking at things that sustained us then, things that formed us then, things that are very precious from then, which we're remembering. And maybe we want to take some of the good energies of that forward with us when we're reflecting on our present life and perhaps on choices that we want to make in it. I do think, though, that the figures on the card look a little distorted. They're rather too large for the perspective with the buildings. Certainly one of the cups is enormous, the one on the plinth. And the figures are dressed almost in a fairy tale way. And I think this maybe comes with a little bit of a warning, as do all cards. You know, there's positive, negative for every single card. And here, I think the trap might be nostalgia. It might be looking at the past with rose-tinted glasses. And since we're in the realm of cups and thinking of the lovers there, it could be that we're looking on a past relationship through a rose-tinted lens, you know, and forgetting all the issues and problems that were there and only seeing the good in it. But it could be just honouring those heartfelt relationships from the past, treasuring them, and being sustained by them, which is altogether a positive thing. One of the meanings that I've observed is that this can be a card signifying the deep past. And by that I mean other lives. And there can be energies in our current life that are resonating with, like a tuning fork, things that have happened to us in our deep past, if you like. That's a possibility just to keep in mind. I have observed that for sure. And so we come to the 6 of Pentacles. And what an antidote this is to that gloomy, impoverished 5 of Pentacles. Here we have the notion, we can see a set of scales, we have a rather richly clad figure giving out charitable alms, money to the needy. So we've got the idea here about redressing balance. He has much, he's giving to those who have little. This idea of spreading good fortune around, of the need to be generous, the need to set in motion that energy flow of money, and redress the poverty that we've seen in the previous Pentacles card, the 5. So this is a card relating to give and take on all physical matters, all things to do with the concrete daily life. Give and take, sharing, being generous. So a positive card. I would just say, though, that in a more negative aspect, if we look at the discrepancy between the richly clad figure giving out the money and the poor souls on their knees in rags in front of him, it doesn't look a very equal relationship. Maybe the intention is to even things out a bit, but the relationship isn't equal. And in a negative aspect, this card could show someone who feels indebted to somebody else, who feels that they're in someone's debt in a way that they don't enjoy. And it could be high-handed handouts, that kind of thing, or being a little controlled through a flow of money coming from a particular source. That's possible. More often, you will find it as a positive card. Yes, very much so. It's that energy of, donate your old clothes to the charity shop, walk in to drop the donation bag, and then you find the most wonderful thing to take home with you as well. It's giving and receiving. Today, we have covered enough on the energy of the Lovers and the 6s from the Minor Arcana. Hope that's been interesting. If you have any questions, if there's anything that puzzles you, please put it in the comments below and I will get back to you. I will answer your comments. If not, then I hope this has been useful to you, and I look forward to seeing you next time when we'll be looking at the 7s. So bye for now. Bye.